Randy Bachman talks about his longtime partner, Burton Cummings, and that opening chord from the Beatles' Hard Day's Night. He plays it too. I'm John Bowden from Rock History Music. When you were waiting to leave, when we did the live interview, I asked you, hey, you're going to work with Burton again. You were just at the lobby. And you said, well, it depends because Burton wants $1 million for every $2 million for every million I make, or you something like that, you said. And I said, so you're not going to do it? And you told me something that I've never forgotten. And you went, no, I'll do it because that's found money. That's why would I not do that? You know, I've gotten over that. I'm okay with that now. How have you two maintained your very different personalities? I mean, this is more than don't sweat the small stuff. How you guys make it work?
It's a mutual respect and love of falling in love with each other as teenagers over trying to be Lennon and McCartney, trying to be Jagger and Richard, trying to be Brian Wilson, trying to be Bacharach and Dave, over trying to write songs and writing and creating those songs. Those songs are the glue that hold us together. And I made up my mind long ago, don't let your personal BS interfere with business. When I play with Burton, it's business. We celebrate our songs. We've got 15 or 20 great songs together. He's got 10 great on his own. I've got 10 great on my own. We go and celebrate the songs. We celebrate for the fans. We get our money. We go home. It's business.
Yeah. Well, by the way,
he lives in Moose Jaw. I live in Sydney.
Yeah, he lives in Moose Jaw. The weird, when you told me that, I've told that story to a lot of people, you know, just personal one-to-one, because I'm going, don't let your ego get stuck in it. I have accepted so many projects in my life from that small conversation you and I had at the door of the radio station, because I'm going, why would I not? It's found money. Why would I not do that? I'm not going to get all, don't you know who I am? Oh my God, you know? So there you go.
Well, the bully in your high school who kicked you in the balls once and threw you on the ground, 10 years later comes and says, I want you to work for my firm. I'm going to pay you 200 grand a year. You can't say, you're the guy who kicked me in the nuts. Yeah, I'll take the job. Yeah, okay. It's business.
Yeah. See, Jeff asks, can you ask Randy, this is interesting, the opening chord of Hard Day's Night, the Beatles influenced him. A breakdown of the opening chord of Hard Day's Night.
If you Google that, I have it on YouTube.
Okay.
I'll show it to you if you want. Do you want me to show it to you?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Wait, I'm looking for a pic. Here you are in a guy's studio and he doesn't have a pic.
You're in the Lower Mainland, right?
Yes, I got invited to the studio by Giles Martin, who had come to my flat. I had a flat in London. We have the same chiropractor. So I'm going in, he's coming out. Hi, man, how you doing? What do you do? I work with my dad. Oh, what does your dad do? Oh, it's George Martin. What? I have a flat. Do you want to come to my party? So he comes to my flat party and he says, in 2 days, I'm doing the mixes for Love, which is the Vegas thing for the Beatles thing there. And you want to come to the studio? I've got the whole suite. And I go, wow. So I go down to the studio and he says everything. And there's 2 guards at the studio, like with guns on the door. The people that are from Japan taking pictures. A tour bus has arrived. So I say to him, I want to hear John Lennon alone. I want to cry. So I heard the news today over. Just John Lennon alone with a little echo. And I'm in tears. Let me tune it. Then I say, okay, I want the world's most famous chord, Hard Day's Night. So I'm playing this on a Gretsch, Country Gentleman. I don't have a Rick 12 string here, it's out in my studio. So if you get a Rickenbacker 12 string, it's strung upside down. Most 12 strings have the high string first, then your octave, high octave. Rickenbacker's low string and then a high string, with backwards. So your high strings have a longer ring chime than your first string. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's why Pete Townsend, when he plays Can't Explain on a 12 string, plays upstrokes. He goes, you hear the high string first. It's just a split second, but you hear it first. So you've got to be on a Rickenbacker 12 string. The chord you play is an F. Here, I'll show you. You put a G on top. Put a G on the bottom. besides your F and your G, you play a C with your thumb. Paul plays a D on the bass. John plays a D sus4. On the piano, George Martin plays, which matches the bottom of the 12th string. So you get this. Also, that's the end of the song over the F chord. So if you Google that, you'll hear the whole thing. I did it live at a show in Toronto.
Did you meet any of the other guys?
Pardon me?
I know you worked with Ringo. Did you meet any of the other guys? You meet Paul or
no? I spoke with George on the phone a couple of times. I never met Paul, and I unfortunately never met John.
What were you talking shop with George?
When I left the Guess Who, he quit the Beatles. If you saw that documentary.
Yeah.
I had enough audacity to phone him. We shared a publicist at the time, Richie York, who you might have known, in Toronto, wrote for Billboard and a lot of magazines. And Richie York was like talking to me, even though I'd left the Guess Who. He's trying to, as was Larry LeBlanc, trying to find out the real story. So Richie York calls me up to get a quote on why I've left the Guess Who and what I'm doing. And I'm going to the hospital for gallbladder gallbladder treatment. And he says, George just quit the Beatles and he's jamming with a band in his Friar Park house. And I said, Richie, would you give me his phone number? I'd like to join his band. So, okay, he gives me the phone number. So I'm in Winnipeg. I phoned this number, this beautiful voice answered, which I imagine was Patty Boyd. Hello, I'm calling from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Is that where Winnie the Pooh's from? This is what she asked me. And I go, yes, because Winnie the Pooh's named after Winnipeg and he's in the London Zoo called Winnie the Pooh named after Winnipeg. And I go, yes. Is this Patty? Can I talk to George? Well, he's out in the garden with a bunch of musicians. It'll take me a while to get him. So I say, okay. So I'm waiting. I hear music going on. Then I hear it come, oh, this is George. Hi, George. My name's Randy Bachman. I just left the band called The Guess Who. Yes, I know American Woman. Yes. You're starting a band. Can I come over there? Well, we've already got my buddy Eric playing in the band. I said, okay for that. And he was very nice. And many years ago, I went to Liverpool because a friend of mine was doing Let It Be there, the Beatles stage thing. And he did it on John Lennon's birthday. So I went there for John Lennon's birthday. I met John Lennon's half-sister. She gave me his glasses. I had his favorite birthday cake, which was a brownie with walnuts in it because he didn't like cake. And I went to the whole Beatles thing there. And then I thought, well, John has turned 75. When is George? George turned 75 2 years later. I did an album called By George, where I took all my favorite George songs and re-envisioned them as a tribute, as a songwriter to a songwriter, that I could take something the way she moved and do it like Robin Trower did Bridge of Sighs. Or I could take this particular George song and do it like a ZZ Top LaGrange and really pay tribute to him as a songwriter, not try to copy what he did, because you can't do any better than he and the Beatles. You can't, the magic only happens once, right? It comes out of the bottle, that's the trick. They may see David Copperfield do his trick 3 times. You figure out how he's done it, right? It's over. So that's like the whole story behind that thing.
So he's recording All Things Must Pass, and he leaves like the guys from Badfinger are there, and yeah, jeez, that's crazy.
Here's another thing. You asked me how, if you don't ask, you'll never get. Okay, if you ask somebody, they go, oh, we didn't know you cared about that. Oh, we didn't know you wanted. Sure, you can have that, no problem. I start Vinyl Tap again March because I asked. I got canceled from CBC after 15 rocking years where I was top of the network, got canceled by the new guy who came in. I did an article because somebody asked me from the Globe and Mail and the Star, what's happening with your show? And I said, if anybody out there wants the show, ask me. And I'm now appearing on Classic Rock Network right across Canada on 4 different classic networks. I can't name them, but you know what they are. For the first time, they are not fighting, they're getting together. And on Saturday night from 7 to 9, Randy's Vinyl Tap is back. I'm recording them right now. I'm canning them because in March or April, I might be going to Japan and have to isolate there because we're doing the Gretsch trade then. So I'm biding my time and working here in my home studio, doing all this stuff. So when COVID came, it was a great opportunity for me to do Bachman and Bachman with my album, with my son, to do an album of all new stuff, for this Gretsch thing to come out. Now it's being a documentary being shot, for me to live into this beautiful place. You can see outside where I live.
Holy
I'm in the
snap and
water here
turtles.
outside of Sydney, BC, with boats out there and fishing and stuff. I'm in, and it's 51 above here today. With my own little home studio. I recorded the album, amazingly enough, in Seattle at Bear Creek Studios with Ryan Hadlock, whose father was a piano player with Norman Durkee back in Taking Care of Business. They did commercials together. And Ryan Hadlock produced the Lumineers, Hey Ho Hey, and Brandy Carlisle. And we went there in June, Tal and I, we did our album there at Bear Creek Studios, which is where Woodinville, it's in Woodinville, which is where I did the Seattle Pop Festival in 1969. So for me, it was a return to this weird, well, here I am in Woodinville. Wasn't the Seattle Pop Festival in that field? Yeah. Who was on Seattle Pop 10 years after? Led Zeppelin, their first tour, Sly and the Family Stone, The Byrds, the Guess Who were on all 3 days, Bo Diddley, Chuck Berry, Jerry Lee Lewis. It's a Beautiful Day, Chicago Transit Authority before they were Chicago. This is now going to be part of my new radio show, telling my history, like I just told you, from the age of 5 on violin to discovering, because people are saying, who in the F are you? How can you do this show? I've been on the road since I'm 16, 17. I backed up the Crystals, the Ronettes, the Kingsmen. I've played on shows with everybody. I have a story about them that you've never heard yet, just like I've told you now. So I tell the story about meeting Duke Ellington, which is like cool. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know who he is, or Frank Sinatra, or hanging out with Jimmy Page and wanting to play my guitar, and me wanting to play his. Me playing with Robert Plant and Jimmy, and I'm playing with Bo Diddley saying, hey, Bo, I brought you something. I brought you the poster from the Seattle Pop Festival, which shows your grandkids that you played with Led Zeppelin and 10 years after, and Sly and the Guess Who. Oh man! And both I take the same poster and show it to Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, who want to show their kids that and their buddies. They played with Bo Diddley and Chuck Berry. Everybody wants everybody's thing. So these stories go on in my life. That my New Young story starts when we were 14 or 15. It goes on when I recorded Prairie Town with him. It goes on when he sent me an email a month ago saying, glad you got your Gretsch back, man. Keep me in on your Gretsch thing. We all are connected through these wonderful internet, basically. And I appreciate every relationship I've had with these guys and all the fans I've got out there who stay in touch with me.
Now keep in mind the entire interview, and the link is in the bottom in the description of this video. If you want to see the whole thing, it's on our sister channel, Rock History Book. It's also going to be a podcast, and the links are in the description as well. Make sure you comment on our videos. You know we read all the comments. Subscribe to our channel. It's so important to us. And of course, spread the word. Let people know. And share our videos. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music. Take good care of yourself.